Welcome to the deep dive. If you're listening, you probably want to get better at putting and maybe get there pretty quickly.
Definitely. We all want that instant fix on the greens.
Exactly. So think of this as your kind of personal shortcut. We're focusing on the putting setup today.
Mhm. We've been digging into the work of Henrik Jentsch, a golf instructor from Golf Academy 360 Degrees.
Right. And his whole philosophy, which really makes sense, is that improving your setup is maybe the easiest way to actually improve your putting overall.
Yeah, it's a foundation, isn't it? Get the setup right, and a lot of other things can fall into place more easily.
Totally. So our mission today is pretty clear. We're going to pull out Jensch's key tips for an ideal putting setup. We'll look at it from face on, like looking in a mirror,
And then from down the line, looking towards the target.
and hopefully give you some really actionable stuff you can try right away. Okay, let's jump in. Face on view first.
That's good. So looking straight at the putter, one of the first things Jentsch observes about really good putters is their alignment.
You mean how everything lines up vertically?
Yeah, exactly. He talks about how their feet, ankles, knees, and hips, they tend to be in a pretty straight line when you look at them face on.
Like stacking blocks, almost.
Right. It creates this stable structure, a solid base.
And since we're putting, the stance isn't going to be super wide like a driver, is it?
No, definitely not. The putter's the shortest club, so the stance is naturally narrower. You don't need that wide base for power. It's more about control and feel here.
Makes sense. What else from that face-on view? I remember something about vertical stacking, like body landmarks.
Yes, that's a really helpful visual he uses. Imagine a line going up from the zipper or button on your pants,
Okay.
through the button on your shirt, then basically through your nose, and even the logo on your cap if you're wearing one.
So it's all about keeping that central core aligned.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It helps keep your center of gravity stable, right over the ball, more or less. Minimizes swaying.
Got it. Now, what about shoulders? Does grip affect that? He mentioned something about the right hand low grip.
He did, yeah. For golfers, using that conventional grip, where the right hand is below the left for a right-hander, your right shoulder, the trail shoulder, should actually be slightly lower than the left.
Oh, interesting. Like a little bit of a side bend.
Exactly. A subtle tilt to the right side. He says this helps get the putter swinging on a better path, more level through the ball.
Okay, so it facilitates the stroke mechanics. And he also mentioned that nose button zipper line again.
Yeah, he kind of circles back to it, reinforcing how important that central alignment is for balance.
And the width thing, feet, knees, hips, keep them roughly the same width apart.
Yes, consistency there is key. You don't want your knees collapsing as inner, or your feet way wider than your hips. That uniform width adds to the stability.
Okay. Stable lower body, stacked upper body. What about the ball position? Where should that be?
Jentsch recommends placing the ball just slightly inside your lead heel. So, for a righty, just inside the left heel.
That feels pretty standard. I think I've heard that before.
It is quite common, yeah. And the reason is it generally helps you contact the ball either at the bottom of the arc or slightly on the upswing.
Which encourages a better roll, right?
Right.
Less skipping or bouncing.
Exactly. You want to sort of brush the ball forward. And achieving that relates directly to how your weight is distributed at address.
Weight distribution. Important. What's the ideal split?
He suggests a slight preference for the lead side. Think maybe 55% on your left foot, 45% on your right, if you're right-handed.
Okay, so just a little lean towards the target.
Yeah. He uses a great analogy. Imagine standing on two bathroom scales. The left scale should read just a little bit higher.
I like that visual. And how does that weight help the stroke?
Well, that slight forward lean encourages that level or slightly upward strike if you hang back too much on your trail foot.
You might hit up on it too much.
Exactly, or even hit it thin. And conversely, if you lean way too far forward, you risk hitting down on the ball, kind of chopping at it.
Neither of which is great for distance control or roll.
Not at all.
Okay, so let's quickly recap face on. We've got aligned ankles, knees, hips, roughly same width. Weight slightly forward, like 55-45. Upper body stacked, zipper, buttons. Nose with maybe a slight trail shoulder dip for the standard grip. Ball just inside the lead heel.
That's a great summary. And how do you check all this yourself?
He says grab a mirror, right? Stand in front of it and just look.
Yeah, it's simple but super effective. Instant feedback.
Okay, cool. So that's face on. Let's switch views now. Down the target line. What's the big picture here?
So, looking from behind the ball towards the hole, The main goal is getting your body aligned square to that target line.
The imaginary line the ball needs to start on.
Precisely. Now, Jentsch is realistic. He says perfect square alignment isn't always achievable or even strictly necessary for everyone.
Okay.
But, the closer you get, generally, the better your chances of starting the ball on line.
And visualizing that line can be tough. That's where alignment aids come in.
Absolutely. Alignment rods are fantastic for this. Lay one down just outside the ball, parallel to your intended line.
Or between your feet and the ball.
Yeah, either way works. Whatever helps you see that pass clearly.
So ideally, your body lines, knees, thighs, hips, shoulders should run parallel to that rod, to that target line.
That's the ideal, yes. Square everything up. However, Jentsch puts special emphasis on one particular part of the body from this angle.
Which is?
The forearms. He says the number one thing he checks from down the line is forearm alignment. Are they square, parallel to the target line?
Ah, okay. So even more than shoulders or hips, he's really zoning in on the forearms from behind.
Exactly. He even uses himself as an example. He mentions having a strong left-hand grip and maybe a slightly open chest.
So his shoulders might not look perfectly square.
Right, they might have a bit more tilt or
Yeah.
be slightly open, but he stresses his forearms remain square to the target. That's the key for him.
That's really interesting. So the arms are directing the club, basically, as long as they're aimed right.
That seems to be his main focus for consistency from this view. And the visual cue. Looking down the line, your forearms should look pretty level with each other and parallel to that target line.
Got it. Level and square. What about knees? You mentioned everything should ideally be square, but does he allow for any variation there?
He does make an interesting point about knees. He says sometimes he sees players, good players, whose knees might be aimed slightly open to the target line.
Open, so aimed a little left of the target for a righty.
Yeah, just slightly. And he actually thinks that for some people, this can help promote a more repeatable stroke, maybe free up the hips a tiny bit.
Huh. So it's not a rigid, everything must be perfectly square rule. There's some nuance.
Definitely nuance. These are strong guidelines, a baseline. But finding what allows you to be consistent within that framework is important.
And again, tools like alignment rods and mirrors help check this down the line view, too.
Absolutely invaluable, especially the mirror for this perspective.
He had a specific tip for using the mirror from down the line, about distance, didn't he?
Yes, the distance from your toes, or the toe line, to the mirror. He mentioned the tour average is somewhere in the range of 9 to 11 inches.
Okay, that's a useful benchmark when setting up a practice station.
It helps position the mirror so you get a good, accurate view. And then there's the eye line check using the mirror. Crucial point.
Right. Where should your eyes be relative to the ball?
Ideally, when you look down into the mirror, your eyes should be positioned either just inside the golf ball or maybe directly over the top of it.
Not looking from way outside the ball, across it.
Definitely not on the far side. That messes with your perception. Your eyes should look parallel to the target line in the mirror and usually slightly behind the ball, not ahead of it.
Because if your eyes are off, your aim is likely off too, right? Parallax error.
Exactly that. It distorts how you see the line. So the mirror is just fantastic for checking both body alignment and your visual setup.
Okay, great. So, down the line keys. Forearm square is the top priority. Use rods to see the line. Knees, hips, shoulders, ideally square, but some minor variation is okay. Use a mirror for distance check, 9, 11 inches. And crucially, get that eye line just inside or over the ball, parallel to the target.
You nailed it. That's the essence of the down-the-line perspective, according to Jentsch.
So if we boil everything down now, face on and down the line, what are the absolute must-dos for someone wanting to improve their setup, like right now?
Okay, key takeaways. Face on. Get that stable, aligned, hip-width-ish stance, ankles, knee ships stacked. Lean weight just a bit forward. Stack the upper body vertically, maybe that little shoulder tilt if needed for your grip.
And ball position inside the lid heel.
Yep. Then, down the line. Number one priority. Forearms square to the target line. That's the big one for consistency.
Use the tools, rods, and mirrors to check everything, but especially those forearms and your eye line.
Exactly. And remember, these are baselines. Jentsch emphasizes using the mirror to see where you are, compare it to these ideals, and then make small tweaks to find what works best and feels repeatable for you.
It's not about becoming a robot. It's about understanding the principles so you can make smart adjustments.
Precisely. Knowledge gives you control over those adjustments instead of just flailing around guessing.
Right. So for everyone listening, the challenge is clear. Take these ideas out to the practice green. Even just focusing on one or two of these things, maybe the forearm alignment or the weight distribution, could make a noticeable difference pretty quickly.
Definitely. Which leads to a good question to think about, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Now that you understand these key setup elements, how might just small adjustments, tiny tweaks to your current posture, actually impact how consistently you roll the ball and how accurate you are?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's often the small things that make the biggest difference in putting. For sure. And we'd really encourage you to actually experiment. Get those rods, get a mirror, and really feel what that square forearm position is like, or what having your eyes truly over the ball feels like.
Yeah, lock in that feel. Could be the key to unlocking much better putting.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for digging into this setup stuff with us.